Hi guys, thank you very much for joining me. Polina here, coming to you from Bali, Indonesia. Ubud, thank you very much for being here. Let's talk to you about the 31st, which is a wolf moon. It is a blue moon, meaning 2 moons in 1 month. It's the second full moon in January. However, I do not go by the months that we have. I go by nature, so it is just a moon. It is just a moon. There's going to be slightly different in color perhaps, and we'll have an eclipse. It is not a big deal. However, what this represents to me is ego and us, ego and people, and where we have stuck ourselves as a person, as a self. So having a look at self is incredibly important, and it's not something that perhaps you like to do usually, especially if you're somebody who's concentrating on their inner being, on their ascension, on doing good and being a good person. You might actually find that this is a very, very tough month, especially for people who can't crow yet. So crowing, we are at the beginning of dog year almost, and this is the time to really let it rip and let it be known. If you are not somebody who's usually outspoken, you're not somebody who usually can have the courage or the know-how to express yourself, be patient. But the thing that needs to be is you telling you who you are, you saying out loud what you want, you being open about your feelings in public, you being completely yourself. And for some of us who have designed a life based on constant dharma, constant repackaging of ourselves, constant wanting to be more, constant wanting to be greater in some sense, we will find it very interesting, because this opens up a very interesting portal to eternity here. So however you do things is fine. If you want to do yoga every day, twice a day, to get the feeling of connection inside, that's a condition. If you think you have to pray all the time and go to church and, for example, have a very special spiritual practice for you, and you're increasing this because some of us might feel we are not enough during this time, that's fine. That's going to be with you for a long time. So however you do things is your choice. However you feel about yourself is fine. But the thing that I must inform you about is keep yourself simple and keep things patient with you, and you don't have to work a lot now or change a lot in order to really deserve to be yourself. And the main message is that you're fine. You really did not have to do all these things that you did in order to be more you. It's just that sometimes certain things are props. It's an interesting time to get extreme makeovers. It's an interesting time to get tattoos. And why? It's because sometimes we don't quite know what it is to be self, unless we've got a very, very severe or very strong impression of self, which is on the outside, which is fine. So for those of us who are interested, we are excited to, be very different, and we want to create a big stand for who we are. And if you are somebody who perhaps never really identified or not really knowing what self is, interesting time to make do for people who are patient, and for people who are impatient and feel that they've been stuck in a role all their life. Yeah, that's great, but consider what you're doing and who you're becoming. So that's another thing. So for example, if you've been carrying yourself on the inside and you've been very humble, not wanting to be yourself on the outside, interesting time to really show it externally, unless you're really not happy with you. So for example, if you have been a constant thought about certain thing, a constant thought about certain type of life, a constant feeling, but not wanting to reach conformity outwardly, not wanting to conform to it outwardly, why not? It's an interesting and sane time to change your look. And another thing is that with this type of moon, we don't really want to get too caring and feeling. We don't want to get too seeing of things. We don't want to get too into things. Does it make sense? We don't want to get too preserved in anything that we're doing. We want to, how can I say, take it and go. We want to just, okay, here's who I am and go. Here's what I've done and go. Because if we get very, very intermittent with things, especially other people and what other different things about us, or what are the different people saying about us, it is too late. This is a bold moon. It's a bold month. I mean, here we have the completion. We have the completion of the rooster year, we have the full glow. Here is who I am, here is what I will be presenting, or this is it. And it's good to be, I feel, on the 31st, an incredible also opening to other people to also speak on your behalf if you are not sure. Great to get your clients putting in reviews for your work, and it's a good chance to really formulate, really sincerely say, this is my truth and this is what it's about, unless your truth is a sad one. And the truth might be a sad one for people who have not really worked things out, which means like people that have not really gotten themselves together. And their truth is, I haven't got myself together. And for this reason, be careful and wary of people that are constantly crying. They're always shallow in breath, and they're like sort of feeling, I can't commit to anything because, I don't feel quite good in my skin. That's really harsh. And also for yourself, if you identify, you concern yourself with a reality which is very much based on who I've been before, what I can never do, who I've never become, what I could have been, could have, would have, should have. So basically, with this energy, be bold and brave and go for the lot. Go for the lot. And the reason for this is because we're very likely to get stuck in certain types of containers where we can't move later. So what I mean is, for example, if you have sincerely thought all your life, like my mother has been a damaged woman and she damaged me, which has been part of my story as well, part of many people's stories, like I've had a damaged childhood and this is it. This can actually stick to you forever. This can be something that sticks to you for a long time. So take away the scraps, all the little pieces of you that you are kind of still concentrating on and still worried about, and try to be as much of a greater, bolder and more expressing version of yourself as possible, because it feels to me that for those people who are not yet there, they're kind of here, kind of not, pussyfooting, afraid of their voice, afraid of their feelings, afraid of the color that they're wearing externally, of the color they're expressing internally. They're in fear of what other people will say. What if mom would be disappointed? What if my wife won't like what I'm doing? Brace yourself, because that will stay. And this means to me that this is a very capsulating time. It is a very closing in time. Moon in Leo usually is a very capsulating, building and structuring energy, which can create a lot of beauty, but also a lot of potential can be lost if you do not feel totally sane, black and white, and completely yours. I feel that it is a very interesting thing, because sometimes we can lose as well. We can lose a big part of ourselves, and I'm feeling that a lot of people will encounter loss, and loss can be something that perhaps is not foreseen if you are not quite you, or if you are not quite understanding or realizing what these different things mean to you. So what I mean is, that many people will have different choices, and the choice is yours. So I'm feeling like there's been all these doors opening, and all these doors of perception, and all these doors of galactic mind. And for us, there probably has been this like little bit of a pussyfooting around as to where I fit in, who are my friends, which way I go, how do I belong, how do I bring myself to the surface, how do I bring myself to the platform, how do I present myself, or what do I really mean? Like, what do I really mean to other people? What do I mean to myself? That gets really weird. So it's a bit of an ego crisis. It is an ego one. It is not a spiritual one. So if you're thinking, I'm just going to lock myself up in an ashram, nobody will know, and I'm just going to pray this whole time. Yes, that's great. Do you want to be in an ashram for 20 years, or is it like a phase? Is it a phase? Are you getting better so you can go and do your thing, or are you getting increasingly entitled in that type of place, so that you do not have to move? So basically, because of this, question yourself, question what your purpose is, question how you've come here and what you're actually interested in, what you're actually wanting. Try to see your truth more and more each day, and see why not do the things you really want to do. So perhaps some of us are really lazy and tired with ourselves. We don't actually really want to do the things that we are really into, because we don't want to show interest in those things. Sometimes some of us can be very embarrassed about what we actually want to wear, or who we actually are on the inside, or how we actually come across. So basically what I'm saying is, get shallow and get meaningful for you. And this is not because we're a shallow species. It is basically that if we think too much and we create, for example, 1,000 different ways of seeing the same situation, and if we come from morality, conformity, giving somebody something, making a life of meaning, truly trying to make sense, who else would benefit from us being this way or that way, I feel it would not give a lot. I feel that actually the people that are constantly trying, constantly striving towards like a better physical appearance, they're constantly on the go, they're never good enough, they're always worried about what they're digesting, they're always worried about how they come across, they're concerned about what they meant, what this person meant, what their friend meant, and they're constantly in between all these different kind of like almost like it's like a personality crisis where one can't just say, I am this, I like this, and this is what my life is about. Like, if you cannot like put this within a prism, a short prism, I know it sounds really shallow because we are in the shallow moon of Leo, this is not going to work. So basically what I'm saying is make it bold, make it colorful, and try to be very, very direct about things. Like, here's who I am, here's what I am, and this is what I'm probably gonna do. Like, this is just what I've always been into. Just as shallow and as almost like stupid as you can, just because otherwise if we are kind of pussyfooting, we're not sure, should I, shouldn't I, am I good enough, do I fit in, am I quite there, I'm not sure if I can really say that I can, I'm not sure if I could really show up to this type of party, I'm not quite sure if I'm allowed. If you're doing this little dance and you're not quite sure, and you're on the outskirts, even though you want to be on the stage, or you are on the stage where you don't belong, and you're kind of walking around, and you're not quite understanding why you got there in the first place, this is the perfect moment for you. So basically there are two different ways to do this. If you are stuck on the feeling that there is a greater source energy, that nothing can be given to you unless you break yourself down and you shed a lot forcefully, then prayer and crying can actually help alleviate the strain. This can also take a long time, so I believe we are now, I'm sorry, yeah, I'm coming across a little bit insensitive, but we're on the 24th of January. If you want to cry and plead and pray and try and really connect and really ask, what is my purpose, what is my meaning, that's fine, you can do that. And those other people that know, they're like, I just want to get my hair bleached, I just want to wear lipstick again, or I just love the feeling, the feeling of like a big party dress. I just love dressing in uniform. So it's like I'm a female and I've been identifying as male my whole life, and I would like to explain it to people outwardly. I would like to express it out loud. I would like to be that physically as well. So there's lots of different ways in which your ego and your self-image and your self-awareness can shine, but don't forge it into something else. Does it make sense? So no alter egos. Just like honesty and complete forgiveness of other people for not getting you before, forgiveness of yourself for not being able to manage yourself better before, forgiveness of another person for walking away from you because you weren't who you were, forgiveness of people who never really recognized what you were about, forgiveness of people that never really respected you or appreciated you or never really connected on the focal energy of you and them, serving another person, not getting anything back, being there as a friend, not having enough, from that relationship, moving on, not knowing what you received, not understanding why you were in certain situations, not understanding why you've wasted time practicing certain things you didn't need to do, not getting and understanding through like constant practice, like say doing meditation vipassana, doing constant breath work, and then understanding in the end that only gave me this much. For some people that's not it. For some people it's not it. For some people going fishing for a day is enough. For like a whole freaking lifetime of memories, for some people just putting on those shoes and going for a run is much better than trying to fit into an ashram. So I'm seeing this more and more with people, because people are going into the east, people from the west are going to the east, people from the east are trying to be more like the west, like it's all mixing and mingling, everything is kind of like shifting and changing. So basically what I'm saying is you don't have to conform to anything, don't try unless it is natural to you, unless you like walk into an ashram and you go, oh gosh, I can be me now, awesome, yeah, let's meditate, okay, let's do this, so people I feel have different types of choices in the future based on how out loud and how obvious they're able to be this month. Like how out loud and obvious you're able to be. If you're not happy and you're not with it and you're sitting there at someone's house and you're not sure what you're doing there, or you are walking along with somebody, especially if you're like a Libra like myself, or if you are, you know, somebody like who's a Capricorn, and you're structuring yourself with a life that you don't really understand or recognize, and you're kind of thinking this is for now. For now doesn't work. For now hasn't been there since like November, December, since Sagittarian time. We have not got the for now. We got the forever. We got the eternity. We got the forever now. So I feel that for a lot of you guys, there might be this little prism of being a little bit enticed to just go and say, that's okay. For now, for the moment, I'm doing this. And then later, no, like this is the best time. So we're at the culmination of the year. This is mastery, Aquarian mastery, you know, 11th sign. Okay, so we're heading towards the end of the year. And for some like programs like human design, they believe that the year has just begun. So there is a different measure of time. So for yourself who is a human design person who thinks that, you know, the year begins on the 21st of Jan, that's fine. You know, and then for people who practice the philosophy, you know, of Chinese astrology, and you think that the year begins in February, that's great. That's fine. I do not. I have a strong nerdy feeling that it begins in March, as we go into the Persian New Year. We're going into Aries. So however you feel is fine. I guess the main purpose of this whole transit is to start being in full potential, to start really feeling in the full girth of yourself, to really vibrate who you are, and not to worry about what another person might think. And this is difficult because we're already starting to get the inklings inklings of the next year to come, which is the dog year. We're already starting to be like, oh, I don't have any friends, you know, or like I don't have enough people that know me as me, or like I can't really say that out loud in public. What are they gonna think? Or like I've never really fitted in with this idea. What does this mean to me? What does this mean to them? So if you are there and you're starting to get those nervous inklings of, oh, you know, I'm nervous because I'm making new friends, or I'm really afraid because I'm going to make a new friend maybe, or maybe like, you know, how do I get people on my side? And I'm already getting a few of these readings from you guys, so people that are saying, hey Polina, you know, how do I get more friends? That's already becoming a baseline. So instead of being what's my purpose, as I've had readings, you know, all last year, what's my purpose, what should I do, how should I present, how should I speak out, like what is it about me that is the most juiciest, what is it about me that makes me myself? That already should not be a mystery anymore. But the next mystery now is the people around you, how your friends, like how do you make friends, how do you make specialty experiences for yourself? And that is not easy to establish until you can see this full moon become that important perhaps to yourself, that you do not care how it works out. The main celebration at the same time, the main practice is self, you know. It's like you just got your shiny new shoes. It's like you got your diploma for life. It's like you just got your own self together. It's like, I am, da-da-da-da-da-da, you know, the crowing of the rooster. You know, when the sun goes up, it's like you are enticing yourself into greater possibility through energetic outpour, an emotional reflex of just being yourself. Just being yourself. And this will not probably last for people that are trying. So if you have not been able to express, experiences that coax you into that expression is a must. Express now, because we got a time thing, we got an algorithm, we got a thing here where things really stick together energetically. If you're not expressing, if you're sidestepping, if you're like this on the side of everything and everyone, that is going to show later. So try and make sure that for this full moon transit, you are as much yours as possible, so that when you are with other people and you're kind of theirs, you're their friend, you know, you're their acquaintance, you're their co-worker, you're theirs, but you are yours first. So become yours first and foremost. For some of us with mother-father stuff, it's not very easy. I've actually created a little blog on my page about childhood issues. So if you are somebody who says, well, my mother raised me to be this, or my father never wanted me, or, you know, like my mother never loved me, if you're one of those people, there is a nice little blog for you just to touch base with yourself and what it means, what it really means to be an adult. Another thing is also for those people who are not tired, but they're not excited either. you know, this moon is coming, there's an eclipse. Try not to be totally bored. It's a very nice time to get excited, extroverted. If you're not sure what that means, that's okay. So if you are a worker and you worked really hard, I hope that you're really taking care of yourself during December and January, because it was a time to structure, to get your head down if you felt that you should, and to do all the different things that you had to do. And unlike the other months, I feel that December had a very, very good possibility of making that shine bigger later. So meaning that whatever work you had to do in December could have really had an impact in the later years, which is something that I've done. So I completely dedicated myself in December to work, which has bore an incredible result, I have to say. I've never been so busy. I had never ever been this busy with channeling with clients, with psychic work in my life. So I have to say that it was a very, very incredible booster for me to work right through December, not worry about the New Year or Christmas. And then I feel that for some of you guys, if you're still working, you're still weary, you're still worried about how to continue on your purpose, this is now. You are fine as you are. And this is the thing is, you are never going to see the result in your life until you can fully accept and appreciate yourself exactly how you always were and who you are. And this is difficult because we've got Jupiter and Scorpio, we've got Uranus and Aries, the shifting of self. We've got the shifting of self. We want to change ourselves. We want to be better off. We want to be more exciting or more extroverted maybe for other people. Perhaps we'd like to feel more creativity. Also with, you know, like Mars, Uranus and Moon all in fire signs, we want to really bang this out. You know, we really want to see something here. But it feels to me that for those people who are just not, you know, they're just not, it is very difficult to do. So it is not about trying to bang yourself out through producing yourself anew. What I mean is, it's not about saying, right, I'm going to be this. Okay, like, right, I'm going to scrap everything that I've been, I'm going to try to be this. Or, right, I'm going to just, you know, start doing something that will eventually lead me to myself. It's over. It's over. It's over. So like, for example, if you said, I want to now assume a really, really diligent yogi practice, and I'm going to have all these yogi friends now, and this is my little resolution. It's never gonna change anything. Like, you need to be really, really happy about who you are. So Rooster, culmination, 31st of Jan. Just be here and be like, wow, you know, I've done it. And if you can't really see yourself, just try and join up. And this is like a waste of time for most people, but if you're really stuck, like, join up. All the little memories that you've had from yourself, who you've become, your identity, yourself, you know, your soul's purpose, your path, what you've done, however you fit in with people, whatever you've alleviated for others, however you've triggered others is not really that important, but you can start looking at that if you really want strength and confirmation about who you are. The best thing is just like, who am I as an identity? Identity, especially for Libra, so weird. You know what I mean? Identity, no. You know, identify, and also smile, because yeah, this moon is a dangerous freaking moon as well. And it is dangerous. Why? Because much of my time, much of other people's time was spent collaborating with whatever was and trying to be something for somebody else, and not feeling good enough inside oneself, being kind of annoying to oneself, but wanting to be special for someone else, or at least of use to someone else. That's gonna come through. If you are even, like to the point of servicing, you're servicing another person all the time, and you don't see yourself beyond it. You don't care how you spend your life. You don't care what you've got for you, just as long as another person is satisfied. Or if you try so hard to be amongst the people that you like, but you have to create such a contortion of your sense, like such a contortion of your senses, in order to be able to kind of sort of connect the dots enough to be within a group that you feel is appropriate for yourself. That is a difficult thing. So for those people who are tired of self, don't care about self, They don't care about self. They don't care about what they're eating. They don't care about how they're touching themselves. They don't care about what they spend their time doing when they're not watched, when they're not on show. That is going to definitely give a big kick. And I feel that also people who are trying to sell to somebody else something that they don't believe in, you know, they're trying to be like a few different people for somebody, just, you know, just in order to pass time, or just to look kind of, you know, kind of good to themselves, that is definitely going to show. So if you are somebody who is not deep inside, and yet on the outside you're presenting all these different colors that are not your colors, feathers are gonna fly. And I feel that on the 31st also there's going to be a different use for you than you expected. That's interesting. So if you're not somebody who can be yourself and outspoken, on the 31st you might find that where you are placed in the next year is not going to be exactly where you want it to be. It's going to be a sidestep from you. It's going to be a compromise on you, because if you have never really had the courage or the full ability to say, well, this is my truth, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, this is just how it is. If you never had that, you will likely not be able to generate your own reality. You might be placed beside someone else, or placed into a situation where you're still conforming or confusing yourself and other people. So that's not so good. If you are just working in terms of service, sometimes I do this as well. If you're just working in terms of I'm servicing you, I'm giving you, I'm being something for another person, there's going to, I feel, create a lot of love, but you will be a service person. And this might not be forever, this might not be for a long time. This is not a transit like of 12 years, how we had Jupiter and Libra transit. This is like a transit for maybe about, for some people a long time, but you know, it could be like 3 or 4 years, you know, to be in servitude, you know, to be in servitude, or to be in a certain place where people don't look at you as anything other than a person of service, or a person of heart that has everything to give to another and doesn't actually matter themselves. People that say, don't worry about me, I'll just do everything for you, those people are going to show. And situations where you are kind of constantly confusing your own body, or confusing your own mind with what other people are expecting and what other people are needing, that's going to definitely become one of those imprints for sure. So do not confuse yourself with other people yet. There's going to be a time, September, October, August, when we are going to completely enthrall ourselves with another person, and we're going to ask, what do you want? What do you want? What do you need? For now, this is not the time. We are going to a dog year. We're going to start, you know, sniffing each other out. We're going to start making sure that each is comfortable. We're going to become more appropriate for another. We're going to become more interested in another person's feelings. But what is this time for now? This is the best time, you guys, the best time to consistently be, just to be within your own energy. And if this means to be alone for some of you guys, not such a good idea, because we are in Aquarius month, so it's about everything. But if you are feeling like you are stuck and you can't show yourself, can't show your face, at least try somehow physically or emotionally, just somehow online or whatever, just to express your colors and to start growing. Because if we're not growing here, we can go backwards. Another couple of things, a lot of what I've seen in the last couple of weeks has been about aging, anti-aging, youthing, everything like that. So youth and vitality in Aquarius, Aquarian month is a must. Revising oneself, reconnecting the dots, becoming more youthful and more in touch with your femininity or masculinity, being more you and more yours, and also considering who you are on the outside, because your face shows a lot more during this time than it might seem. So your face has been forming for at least a couple of weeks now. What I mean the face forming, this is not just the physical, this is like the, how can I say, the mild changes of gesture of the face. Like the mind sort of creates new mimics during this time. So when we are within our own world, we don't notice this, but other people can notice that your mimic, the mimic of the face, shows a lot more about you than you can explain in words, perhaps. This means that it's an interesting time to consider your face, your skin, the color of your cheeks, the color of your skin, how is it feeling? Is it healthy and glowing, or is it kind of going sideways? What is going on? What is the true vibration of your body? And I know it sounds very shallow and kind of like represented, but definitely the feeling of glow and the feeling of awesomeness within your physical state, being happy as you as exactly how you are is very good. And youthing and aging, one thing here is stay alive, stay alive. There's a few of us, especially people that have been, I guess, brought up guru or asked to be guru at some point of their life, to kind of be transcended and above reality and kind of to, work beyond what is and and this can fade people out. Pisces time will come, you can have all the sleep you want, but, it's like it can fade people out and make them on the backdrop of everybody else. So it's like you're the chaperone and you're watching the show, and you're kind of just away from everybody, and you're letting them, speak and dance and, tra-la-la, and you are on the outside. And I feel if you're somebody who feels that they deserve the end, like you want to be dead, or you want to be dead to the world, or energized through the feeling of death, what I mean is completion. I don't want to be here, I'm somewhere else. And this happens with us when we don't quite feel seen. This can continue, so definitely aging and youthing. People have decided to be adults or chaperones, or people who are on the outside, and they're trying to help by kind of showing that they're not playing. That can become a big joke, because I feel that with us, we've got to find interest in self, and we have to find the true feeling of just being kind of like, kind of dumb, kind of funny, kind of weird, kind of human, kind of awkward, kind of divine, and kind of like satisfactory, but also like unsatisfactory, and like bring all these things together, all these goofy things about being a human being, all these weird squiggly things about being alive, all these horrible and weird things that the body does, all these funny things that we wear on the outside, all these different types of faces that we make and things that we say on the outside, however they come out. There's got to come and to be what it is. Let it be what it is. Because no matter how guru you are and how smart you are, there's got to be things about you that are so weird. So weird, and even like slightly sick and awful. So if you are noticing that you are starting to get kind of like unsure about yourself, and you feel awkward, it's like you've been teaching people, and you've been doing all these things, you've been like the chaperone to pretty much everybody, and then you're feeling like, oh wow, that's so weird. That's really good, because that is the chance to do something better, and that's the chance to keep on minding your body perhaps in a different way, to glow and to let that awkwardness be the guide to youth and prosperity. Because the awkwardness, the more awkward feelings, and the awkwardness that is outside, it's like, I'm awkward, I'm kind of like cheesy and like tacky and weird, and I don't understand, sometimes what it is to be my own. That energy becomes you, and it embeds in a very, very simple way, basically, because it is a growing phase. It becomes youth. It becomes youth. So youth is understanding that you're not fully there. You know what I mean? Like, that's youth. That's youthfulness. That's vitality. That's piece of being here. But if you are saying, I'm not this, I'm that, I'm going to start making more sense, I don't need to play, and I don't need to even know anybody anymore, because I am this like vibration of grace, that becomes very, very suffering later, because then the person can't grow, can't deserve more, can't shift, can't do nothing, because it's like they created themselves into a barricade. And barricade is sometimes needed. I mean, as I said earlier in the Saturn retrograde video, the people that have been, that sort of like placid, sort of slightly stagnant energy will become very good friends with somebody who needs you. You might be friends with someone who needs you, and that's as much as you get. But if you want to have a more organic coordination and a heart-lifting, heart-warming coordination with other people, it is quite good to try and be everywhere, and to be nerdy, and to be strange, and to be on top of things, as but at the same time to also understand that you have flaws. You have flaws, and to allow those flaws to be in time enriched. So it's not just about vulnerability here. It's like knowing your colors, knowing your truth, knowing how to crow as a rooster, knowing how to emit a noise or a sound as yourself as much as you can see yourself now, but also allowing things to change you as well. So that's very difficult to achieve. That is very difficult to achieve. How one might achieve it, so there's just like a couple of notes at the end, is not to go about your day like you think you should, and to see where your heart goes. And it could be something totally inappropriate and weird, like you could just say, I do not know why, what it is, but I want to do this today. Or I don't know why, what it is, I really want to see those types of people. Or I feel really lonely here, maybe I should just go sit over there, or maybe I should call a friend. But no big no with old friendships and old acquaintanceships that are just mulling the same things over and over, like treading water. It's much better to say, I really want to go to the cinema. I don't have anybody to go with. I don't know what to do. So you go to a cafe, and maybe you ask somebody, hey, you want to go to the movies with me? I feel kind of weird. Perfect, excellent choice. Anything to do with youthing, anything to do with uplifting of yourself can be really beautiful here. If you start relationships that are not for yourself, but they're just for the enrichment and a better vibe, better vibe and a better memory for the future. So I hope that this has made some sense. Thank you so much for being here. Have a look at the details below, and yes, enjoy. Thank you very much. Bye.